Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Do Andrew Conspiracy. We have myself, Mr. Andrew, and my lovely co-host, Mr. Jew, and we are here to conspire with you all to breathe into life something beautiful. And we start with that literally. And our technique today that we're gonna start with is Ujjayi Pranayama. It's also known as the victorious breath, which feels appropriate given the energy of the days. So here we are. We're leaning into victory, and the technique is simple. You know, just as usual, we're gonna sit. We're gonna get comfortable. Um, you're gonna pretend it's all through the nose, and you're gonna pretend like you're blowing, you're blowing on a mirror, and you go like to like get the steam on the mirror. But think about that same but through the nose. So and you'll do that on the in and the out, and it's also known as the ocean breath because it almost sounds like the waves crashing on the shore, that sort of thing. So anyway, we'll do 3 sets of that. Long, kind of even inhale, exhale, and through the nose. And so yeah, if you can get any wiggles out.
Get loosey goosey, people.
Yeah. If there's any tension in the body, right? I mean, that's what we're really feeling into when we're getting the wiggles out. Is they're like, oh my shoulder's a little tense, or whatever. So that's getting the tension out, and then, like I said, I like to settle in and close down the eyes. It helps kind of clear out the visual field and have less information coming in. And then, like I said, breathe kind of with that slightly restricted throat on the inhale and exhale. It was a little harder for me on the inhale on that one, but I like it. It's an interesting technique. So yeah, that was Ujjayi Pranayama, and we have now conspired. We are co-conspirators, and we can
We're
continue.
victorious co-conspirators too.
There we go. I like it, Dale. Victorious co-conspirators. Heck yeah.
So, and I guess it's me. So, how is everybody? Everything is good in Teaneck, Hackensack City, the holiest city. We've been having a lovely late summer, fall, and actually these 2 weeks between the lunar eclipse on the 7th and this the autumn equinox on the 22nd with this lunar eclipse on the 21st is a very significant astrological time. And it's basically, I won't go into my deeper astrology, but basically everything is resetting. And that's what we're doing today on the show. We call this one Beyond the Veil. So, Andy and I were talking about this, about how biblical we wanted to become and everything. But basically, when Jesus died, the moment Jesus' soul passed into whatever stage it went into, the Bible says that the temple of the veil of the temple was ripped in half, and that's what Jesus had predicted when he said that I'll rebuild this temple in three days. But so basically, the temple was veiled, and the temple was always like the most sacred place in any temple, any Jewish place of worship. It was like where only the high priest could go once a year in order to I think sacrifice to God. So I'm not sure what they did, what the high priest did, but actually, if you're interested in the details, the story of the conception of John the Baptist at the beginning of the Gospel of Luke talks about John the Baptist's fathers who was a high priest who went into the Holy of Holies and was told by Gabriel about John the Baptist, didn't believe him, and then he couldn't talk till John was born. But that's a completely different biblical story. But if but the fact is that the veil was like the covering from not only the high priest but only the highest priest from the Holy of Holies, where basically you you would be in the presence. I think the idea is that you would be in the presence of God for like 5 minutes, So, and that was what was behind the veil. So, I'm getting to a point, and maybe I'll throw in a poem. I'll throw in my introductory poem, which you might have heard before, but I feel it's very relevant to what we're going to go into today. So, before I go on about the veil, I'm going to talk about the veil that I lifted on myself back in 1975, and this is a poem called, you might have heard it before, but it goes, it's called Dale Reviewing What Actually Happened. Hi, I'm God was a joke I made after Killer Dartmouth toke of some primo Ivy League smoke, which apparently caused me to croak because in mental hospital I awoke with Roomy Gabriel, the main bloke who did my delusions angelically stroke. Even while doctor claimed my brain broke, the moment divine gag I spoke, testifying I was only bit quack, which clinicians diagnosed a psychotic attack, preventing me from getting sanity back until I came to Teaneck Hackensack to pursue resident therapy program track and deal with my evident lack of reason among psychiatric patient pack who never gave me any slack. Under interrogation, story and crack. So that's my biggest introductory poem. But basically, that sets forward the proposition that in 1975 at Dartmouth, after a year of academic success and endless drug consumption, I figured I came up with my "I'm God" joke, and that changed my life. It's been, I've there are probably a million people who on drugs have said that they're God, but I feel that I'm unique, I'm special if not unique, and that I followed the flow to the very end to see where it would lead me. And it led me back to Dale now at age 70, but the last 50 years I've been basically trying to incarnate as God. So back to the veil. What was behind the veil? The veil of the holy of the holiest in the temple that was ripped open when Jesus died. No explanation has ever been given. No one has ever talked about like people going in there, people, or anything coming out of there or something. So basically, to me, what was behind the veil was like the light of God and the incarnate Word of God in the light, and that's basically the light that I feel I carry within myself. And when I say I'm God, I do. At first, I did it egotistically, but I can. I'm not going to go on much longer about this. I'll just give you the equation. But basically, when I started, my equation was Dale equals God. As simple as that. So, and that's when I came to Hackensack, and I started living in Hackensack for 50 years and everything. But as time has gone on, the equation has grown to include Jesus and God outside of Dale. So the new equation and the actual equation is Jesus equals God squared equals Dale cubed equals do squared equals Dewey. So if you take out the do and the do part of it, then it just means Jesus equals God squared equals Dale cubed. And the point that I've been indoctrinated with to spread by the Lord, I believe, is that for that Dale cubed, you can substitute your own name. And therefore, it's up to everybody to find their own path to being their personal God.
Okay. We did it. All right. So that sets us up for discussion, obviously. And yeah, I think I just see it as a symbol. You know, it's a story that was told to illustrate that that this idea of needing special access to commune, to conspire with God is required, and the veil being torn illustrates that that is not required. Nothing. There's no special access pass or at some level you have to achieve or some nonsense like that. That's actually nothing to do with it. And so, beyond the veil means we have the direct connection.
Right.
There's no one to intercede. I guess you could say Jesus is interceding, but whatever. I don't know. I guess, you know, like we were talking before the show about how much biblical like information we want to bring into this, and I think it serves as a conversation starter. To your point, just because it is, you know, probably the most widely known book in the world, right? And so it has power based off of that alone, given the current paradigm. But I guess where I'm at is, you know, this veil, it seems like we're experiencing the lifting of it in a new way, or something like that, and so our adherence to the past, I guess, is really where my, I guess, concern might come from, because adherence to the past does limit our forward movement to some, you know, it creates loops and repeats old patterns, and if we're trying to create new, then how our adherence to the past may be counterproductive.
Absolutely. And so I agree, and I think you're right. I agree completely that we are in new times. We are in times. I mean, we've been talking here about Fred is dead and everything, and people still don't know what that means. But to me, it means the warlord is dead. The endless age of infinite war is over, and therefore, let us begin a new age. And no, I'll amend that. A new age has begun beyond violence in a community, love, communication, and what we're seeing now is the death twitches of the body of the old ways, and that's also part of the veil, but you know, but
Yeah, when the chicken gets its head cut off, it runs around all crazy like for a little while.
right,
But yeah, there's some. I would say a lot of people would point to this, and I think this is valid. Is like the body, or naturally resist change. I mean, at least that's been historically true for me, and I naturally resist change, and so, you know, once you begin to become aware, you realize change is required. It's not optional, and so, a surrender to the process of change is sort of required, and embracing new realities, and also then letting go of the old ideas that, you know, no longer serve or no longer valid from the new perspective that you're occupying, right? It's okay to see something differently than you did in the past and now assign a different value to it or eliminate it completely, right? I mean, that's what we're talking about in the four agreements, essentially. And so that's that adherence to the past. It always, like, what am I carrying with me into this present moment? That's bullshit. And sometimes it feels like we're lugging the Bible with us everywhere we go. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And now
And
everything we do has to conform
yes,
to this book. Finance for 18 years, and I actually did accounting for mutual funds and ITFs. So yeah, I'm knee deep in it. But I'm like, that world feels so old now. I'm certainly managing my own finances at this point in time. But I don't think to change that anytime soon. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, it comes down to like our adherence to history. Sorry, we got interrupted. I'm back now. So we'll have some continuity here, but we're gonna edit this section
right,
out.
right.
Anyway, um, can it restricts our ability to expand? I mean, I think that's what's true, and a lot of philosophers and teachings point to the power of now, and the power of now does not. It contains everything that is, and so when we focus on the past, we're focusing on one very specific sort of perspective, and it eliminates all of this. And so that's my concern, right? And so we have memories, and I think there is a use to them, but I'm not. I'm still wrestling with how they're useful or when they're useful.
Well,
And this idea of carrying the Bible with us, right? Like
that's right.
we have to conform to this thought form that exists that was written at a time that seems like it was in the past, right? And we assign a lot of authority to it and a lot of our power therefore to it also, in my opinion. And I'm just sometimes I feel like it's holding us back as a species. There we go.
Well,
That's the real truth.
right. Well, it I just had like a flash that um what what did you just say? I could you repeat
Sometimes I
that?
think the Bible is holding us back as a species.
Oh, that's right. Well, I know what I'm going to say about the four agreements. The Bible is a book of law for the world, but everybody in the world has their own book of law within, and that's what we were talking about with the four agreements. And and this gets back to our basic theme of sovereignty and autonomy. But are you going to let the book, outside book, no matter how compelling or how programmed it's been into you, allow you to over to basically overlook the lesson that the book actually is trying to teach, which is inner sovereignty and that the kingdom of heaven is within.
Yeah. Well, that's fair. I mean, I think it you can come at the Bible from multiple perspectives. I think that's the point. And if you come at it from the perspective of the ego and reinforcing the ego, you'll read it and interpret it a certain way. If you come at the Bible from a perspective of what can I learn, how can this increase my capacity to love and connect, then you're going to read it a different way, right? You're going to perceive the words differently. And so, but from my perspective, my experience, it's been read by people who want to use it to exert power and control. It's been interpreted in a way that maximizes our surrendering of power to external authorities, and also creates an other in that we this belief is that if you don't believe this book, you're condemned to some sort of internal hell forever. And and people will carry that belief in order to be in the vibration of judgment and feel validated by it, and that's super dangerous. So,
Well, the thing I always question was this idea that, okay, say you even live
and
a
this is
hundred.
a projection of me because I did all of that, right?
Right.
So let's be real. I have done all of those things.
Well, right. But the other thing is that, if God is a loving Father, then how can a life of even 100 years be so? I mean, take the Rothschilds for example. People say they're the epitome of the devil in it, but how can a life that lasts only 100 years in a 13 billion year, according to the scientist, billion year universe, merit an eternity of eternal damnation and agony, for basically what was a school lesson.
Yeah, it wouldn't. And so this is a thought form that's come in to exert control and to
Right,
hu- keep people small and have them operate in this little tiny micro existence, and as opposed to expanding to their full capacity and actually living like as living not in sin. To me, that is living in sin. To make yourself small, to shrink yourself, to not shine your light fully, that's sin.
right,
It's to miss the point of this experience, to miss the mark. And if you're missing the point of the experience is to think about it like a video game. You go in to play the game and to experience different worlds and to try different weapons or different maps, different configurations. That's this. We're here to play, and we,
right,
we got it all confused because someone decided they wanted to be, the knowledge of good and evil. We had to have duality, and so here we are. We're in duality, but like, duality's played, man. Like, so we're shifting out of duality into something new, and so the world is going to look different.
right.
And the question is how. I mean, we've been talking about that kind of on our own for a little while now, and so it's
Well,
the tool is dreaming, right? And that's what the Toltecs were all about, dreams. And so what can we dream up? What heaven can we create here and now?
right, and well, what I said just before we started, it's time I think that with Fred that I mean to me to Dale Roger Joseph Dale Edward Alan Tompkins Walsh, the guy who thought he was God for 50 years, the death of Fred is a watershed moment in my life. It is like the end of an era. It is like the end of the era I've been fighting 70 years to bring to an end, of the mucks or whatever you want to call them. And obviously they're still evil, but and but
Wait,
ultimately,
wait. Why is that obvious?
well, because evil is evaporating. It is not totally evaporated yet.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but basically, the source,
Is it
the
not?
source of
Is it
source
still
of
here because we're holding on to it?
right, is people don't want to let Muck go because that's the old paradigm, But
Yeah.
and that's the Matrix. But the Matrix is also made of sound, and the new Matrix is made of pure sound, and rather than the sound of war and miscommunication, why don't we change history, which is Fred, his story, the warlord story, the age of war that's been going on since we can remember, and just like not arbitrarily, but uh, definitively say, as I did on the day after the lunar eclipse, on the 7th, I am out of the hospital. I am in a new era of my life. So let's stop all this his story stuff and turn it into my story and make it a divine mystery.
That's the poet. That's the poet. He's riffing. I like it. I mean, that's beautiful. It's so true. It's like we have the power to write our story. That's why every movie has like, well, every hero movie has this arc, right? It's the same
Right.
thing. They call it the hero's journey, and and maybe that's the epitome of the human experience, right? I don't know. I guess from my current perspective, I would say that it is, and I'm willing to see that evolve or change. But yeah, there's an idea that there was something to overcome, and we've all had that experience. Well, most of us have anyway, and now we are in victory mode, and we get to help the others that haven't realized that maybe come to that same conclusion for themselves, right?
I
Through
haven't
their
realized the meaning of the victory. I mean, it's like I keep saying, come on, everybody, come out of your nuclear bunkers and see the brilliance of the radiance of the sun of the sun. You know.
literally, yeah, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Won't you be my neighbor? Mr. Rogers had it right all along. Um, and so it's about being in the now, though. And right now, in the now, I'm having a beautiful conversation with my good friend. My dog's laying down here in the corner. I have shelter, like there's a lot to be grateful for. And when we take ourselves out of that with like a screen or some nonsense like that, we are we're creating distortion in our field. It feels like, and I think it's, well, this is, I'm saying this to myself, is my responsibility to master attention consciousness, if we want to create something different, and then to hopefully bring others along for the journey who also want to see a different world, to experience human differently, like have a different experience on this planet, and we can do that. It's within us to do all of that, and so like that's a new idea. And so when we're attaching to the past, it gives me like it just feels not as good. How about that?
Right. Well, actually, that was one of the key teachings of Carlos Castaneda too, is forget the past. So, or basically, he said obliterate your past. It is like not only like just like forget it, but like really make sure it's dead, because until it, and and the fact is that any seed has to die before it can become a tree. I mean, you bury a seed, it's alive, but then it dies, and then it's
Well, it
buried.
becomes something different. Yeah,
Right, right.
yeah, exactly. And that's what we're doing too. We're becoming something different. And so the attachment to the old thing, unless you want to keep looping, we can keep doing this shit, right? We can hold up the old paradigm. We can struggle to try keep it in our minds, right? We can try hold it here, but why? Because we don't feel safe. I mean, that's usually the ultimate answer, right? I don't feel safe letting go. It's like jumping out of an airplane, or a bungee jump, right? That moment of like I have to let go of what my mind is telling me is keeping me safe,
Right.
and dive into the abyss and know that it's all going to work out. And that's the leap of faith, right? That we talk about all the time. So, like, there are these beautiful lessons in the Bible. I will never dismiss that. I just want to be careful with how much we let it inform our now.
Right.
Um, if this paradigm, I mean, if we're doing what we're doing, then this is radical. This is gonna it's gonna blow your mind. it's going to take time to come in, because literally our bodies can't handle how much of a change it's going to be all at once. That's how I feel.
Well, that's why I talk about Fred like very little. But you know, the interesting thing is Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. They talk about the age AF, and some people said it meant after Ford, and other people said after Freud, but I say it means after Fred.
Yeah.
And we so you know, and that's a world where like babies are like mass produced genetically and everything, and basically mass production humanity is what AF stands for. You know, how they got the genetic and technological ability to basically reproduce humans at will. But actually, for us, the AF after Fred means a world where we can really learn to live in peace and understanding, and, um, you know, basically just be real people. And one thing I've been thinking about this sort of ties in is you know, talking about fear. And I think so many people still have a fear of losing their mask, and that's something that we don't talk about too much. But you know, mask are really like the multifaceted levels of the self that you present to the world. And you know, some people present a new mask to every person they see, and the goal is to have one consistent mask which people always see, so that you're recognizable. And that's what I've been pursuing for the last 50 years. It's just like getting beyond all the masks that people saw me through, so that they could see me truly as who I am.
Yeah. Yes. That no, that I mean that's the safety I was talking about too. It's the other side of that same coin, fear of being unmasked and exposed, being exposed, and not feeling safe to exist as yourself. It's the same thing, and and from a very sort of mechanical perspective, based off my current understanding of the body, that the the ceiling for your ability, your consciousness, is your nervous system. And so that's why we do the breath work in the beginning, is that's one powerful tool us humans seem to have to step out of parasympathetic and into sympathetic, and operate from a more authentic place. Because when your nervous system feels safe, you can express more authentically. It's easier to access, and so these are the tools we have, and that's fine. They're also a permission slip on some level, because those states are accessible at all times. We're just using these tools to access the state more easily.
Right.
But that's what this is about. I mean, that's what this conspiracy is about, is encouraging you all to learn how to do it. Because the feelings that you're feeling that are negative, the depression, all that, it stems from that incoherence, these conflicting programs that we have running. And when you can acknowledge all of those programs and bring them in, and give them love, right? The former self, we're not saying the former self didn't exist, but also it didn't. We are a new human, and so our quantum reality is that's a separate reality. It actually isn't relevant to now. But we carried the memory because of this linear experience we've decided to have on this planet. I don't quite understand why, but we did. But we can know both, right? We can know 3D reality and sort of what seem to be the rules of physics and that sort of thing, and we can also acknowledge that there's something beyond all of that. There's an experience we can have beyond that we are having at the parallel beyond all of this, and that changes how you interact with this experience. That's I think the point from my perspective.
Well, yeah, I agree. I agree totally with what you say. I'm always saying that to you, Andrew. But what I wanted to add was that it's not just like the conditioning that's embedded, by between ages 0 and 7 when they say everything is programmed and everything. They're like deeper embedment. I mean, we have 9 trillion cells, and each one of those cells has an impression from every experience we have. So, therefore, I mean, the it goes way beyond just like program, is domestication to the point of like cellular memory, and that's really what's hard to get rid of. I mean, you can get rid of like conscious memories and even subconscious memories, but the body remembers.
Well, I guess what I would say to that is, while you're still holding that memory for whatever reason, are you able to see it from multiple perspectives? Are you able to to change some of the story, maybe even, right? You can assign a different story to the same event, and one story sounds like this is an opportunity to learn, and another story says I'm a victim of X, Y, or Z, right?
Right.
And they refer to the same event, they honor the same event, but they give a different frequency to it, and and that's not a bypass. That's, I mean, theoretically, you're doing this through a genuine desire to process those events, or
Right.
release them
Well, and
from
then
the body.
there's also the saying, the body follows where the mind leads. I think that's a Joe Dispenza quote. But speaking of which, maybe it's time for some Sid for the day.
Sure.
So this is still in the three principles chapters, and there is two short 2 pages. So healthy compounds, talking about mixes of mind, consciousness, and thought. Healthy compounds, feelings such as compassion, humility, love, joy, happiness, and contentment are all rooted in positive thoughts. Hate, jealousy, insecurity, phobias, and feelings of depression are all compounds of negative thoughts. All feelings derive and become alive, whether negative or positive, from the power of thought. No matter what you think about it, has to be a compound. And I love this next sentence. Even if you disagree with what I say, it's your thought.
Yeah. Well, we do have free will. We get to disagree. We don't have to accept anything as a part of us that we don't want to. But that being said, these are fun thought forms to play with. The idea of everything being some mix of mind, consciousness, and thought, and then deciding, viewing through that lens to decide if, what compound you're creating in the moment. Yeah, that's a fun thought exercise for sure.
Yeah, well, but getting, I don't want to get distracted from the main point, which is this assessment of history, its necessity, and to what degree is it relevant to understanding not only the new world beyond the veil, but also to what degree has it been actually reality and the reflection of what could be.
Is what been reality? History?
Yeah, it's his. I mean, is the history of war really our destiny? Yeah, I mean, can we? And the answer is this is a rhetorical
Of
question, but
course. Right.
can we break out of this pattern and of this day by day mindset and existence of contention, competition, warfare, and misunderstanding. And obviously, we can. And as you and I both say, we've entered that new era, but but it's still a reality for so many people, not because they don't listen to us, but because they just haven't awoken to the possibility of a new life without without uh, pain and suffering.
Right. Well, yeah. I guess my thought with that is that seems to be true, but I also don't want to perpetuate this idea that there's so many people that aren't there, and because that
Right.
becomes a reinforcing belief structure also. Oh, well, that's why we're still having this loop, is because there's all these people that are still stuck. Maybe, but we can't know that. We can only know our own experience, and we're not stuck. We're learning and expanding and growing every day, right?
Right.
And so if that's my experience, then it may be the experience of others also. That's how I feel. And so let's really hyper focus on like the highest timeline, and the highest timeline would be, holy shit, this is like massive pain, and it's pain is a stimulus.
Right.
It's the thing that, I mean, that's one way to wake someone up, literally, right? If you inflict some pain on someone sleeping, they'll probably wake up. And so, to the extent you're experiencing this pain, is, I think, it's like it's like the signal to do something different, and
Right.
and that's a natural, that was my experience. I had to perceive the pain of change as being less than my perceived pain of staying the same.
Right.
And once I could see that there was less pain on the other side, it became sort of a logical conclusion that I needed to embrace something new, and this old thing was not working anymore. And I don't know, can you in your current state, as our millions of viewers, can you acknowledge that this is not how, what the outer dream seems like one I do not prefer?
Right.
Can you say that to
That,
yourself?
uh, with change, you made me think of John Maxwell, and he has like he says there 5 reasons people change, and I can't remember all of them, but the first one is people change because they're in so much pain they have to change. And then, secondly, people change because they need to change. And then third, and then but basically there's a hierarchy of like, as you realize yourself more, your need to change becomes greater because you want to grow more.
Yeah.
I,
Well, it doesn't require that, like, you start to attune to these clues that are saying, hey, something's off. And then maybe that pain, it doesn't have to sit as long, it doesn't have to penetrate as deeply before you get it. And you
right,
acknowledge it, and then you're able to work with it, right? Pain is a teacher, is what we're saying, and the first lesson is always the hardest. The first Dale is always the hardest.
right, right. But there's the other thing. I mean, just medically, if your body's in pain, then there's something's wrong, and I we don't want to start this at this point, but basically, if you go to the doctor, he's going to give you a pill to deal with the symptom of the pain, and the idea that the source of the pain is what needs to be addressed is never going to be addressed by a chemical made by big pharma. I mean, well, maybe, and I've been thinking about this a little bit. how can I like always put down big pharma when I'm like dependent on one of their products? Well, I say, well, not only is it a good product and it was made before big pharma got corrupted, but it's also something that I'm dealing with, and I don't want to be a hypocrite and criticize big pharma when I'm using them, but I'm at a minimum of using them. But
Well, you can acknowledge your own
basically,
experience and also acknowledge that you are open to a different experience. How about that, right?
right.
And part of it is a belief structure that has been built over time. Part of it, right? The placebo effect is real, or at least
And the strength of the drugs is real too. That's
fair, right?
that's
So there is a compound that does something. So whatever. I don't want to dismiss it, but I hear what you're saying. I don't think you're a hypocrite. Um, and we can acknowledge that big pharma, that the construct, the mental construct. See, this is the thing. Like we're all carrying this thing, this label,
right.
and then we project out this whole system based off of this information that we've got. And I don't take. I am not a hypocrite, Mr. Dale. I threw out every pill in my house years ago. I haven't been to a doctor in over 15 years, and I'm healthy as fuck. That's what
Right.
the AF stands for to me.
Well,
And we do need a new calendar because this does mark a new era. So let's do it. Let's start it. We're going to start referring to this
I
as
already
zero.
have.
This is zero AF. We are in zero AF, motherfuckers.
Yeah. No, it's it's a it's
Wait.
ADD. It's a zero ADD. Age age of due dale.
I like AF better.
Okay, okay, and especially as Buck. So okay,
After
so
Fred as fuck.
but I did have a point that I wanted to make, which is you go to the doctor to get rid of the pain,
Right.
and gives you a pill to get rid of
Yes.
the pain, but doesn't get rid of what's causing the pain.
Correct. Indeed. So yes, numbing the pain is never the long-term solution. It may be necessary in the moment. I will never tell someone what they should or should not put in their body, but I will also say I can say for sure numbing the pain is never the long-term solution to the problem.
Right.
It's pain is a teacher. It's meant to cause you to explore, get curious, why, and your body is like you said. That's one way we experience pain is physical pain, and your body is communicating with you. That's a communication
Right.
channel. But my point is, once you tune into the body, for example, tune into your connection to source, you can detect when you're off center more you're more in touch with that, and that allows you to navigate this experience without so much goddamn pain and suffering. That's what
Like
I'm saying.
one interesting thing was when I was in the program, I basically got stoned. I managed to get stoned almost every day I was in the program for 5.5 years while Doc tried to stop me from smoking. But that's a whole different story. But basically, the reason I would get stoned is to put myself for two reasons. First off, to put myself in my own power, so I could sit in the field and watch planes go overhead and say who was in the plane. So that was where like how I exerted my power. But the second thing was to get in touch with my pain, because whatever the medication or whatever, I, you know, I would feel pain when I get stoned, and it would be joyous, just because it would get me beyond that dummy, zombie state, and the pain, and this is common, it's I won't say girls, teenagers slash themselves all the time just so they can feel pain and everything, and so
Well,
THC.
it's a way to make something mental physical, right? And when you're deep in the illusion that physical is everything, but the source of the pain is not physical, right? You almost want to make the mental pain go away by inflicting the physical pain, or at least that's my
Right.
understanding. Um, and that makes sense. I've dealt with suicidality and that sort of thing, and that's a lot about making pain go away too. And so there is this. I mean, that's this kind of underlying current, right? And so to try and make it go away is the problem, right? To steer into it, to look at it, and sometimes you need a permission slip in order to have that experience. And certainly with your experience with medication, cannabis then is a permission slip to have that experience. And I've found that for myself as well. Like it when I was going through the divorce and was feeling, I mean, I was feeling pain, and and it 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 helped me kind of separate a little bit from it and see it for what it was, and acknowledge that this was a human experience I was having. Separation as a human is painful, and that's okay, and because that is part of what we're doing here. The point of what we're talking about is not to escape the human experience. It's to be able to navigate it from a different perspective that
Right.
creates possibility. And it creates hope and peace, and that's the cure for all of this pain, in my opinion.
And creativity too.
Well, it's those higher aspect emotions we were talking about, right? If you can address the pain, you can be more in the pleasure, the joy,
Right.
the gratitude. It's easier to access those states when you're not being pulled into the pain.
I think, I think we're sort of like talking about a counterintuitive thing here because what you're saying is, you know, experience the pain, but also you're saying, like, don't let the pain of the past like overwhelm you. So, there's like a juncture at which you have to like, like balance being in the past and dealing with the pain of the past while being in the present and knowing that the pain has a solution that you haven't thought of yet, maybe.
Well, it's like going to the gym. You don't start out lifting the hugest weight on the rack, right? You start out
Right.
lifting the weight that, you know, just pushes your comfort zone, right? Like you need to feel resistance, right? And you go there, but you build up a, a an ability. Your nervous system builds up an ability to feel safe, even when you're pushing against that unsafety, and that's the dance. To me,
Right.
is what how much can I hold of the human experience? Can I hold all of it? The craziest thing, the most gnarly thing, the most brutal thing, can I hold that? And can I hold the most beautiful thing, the most loving thing, the most expansive thing? Can I hold it all?
Right.
And your ability to hold it all allows you to move through life, and then everything is just, it becomes more of a neutral experience, and then you get to experience it the way you want to. And if you want to feel the pain, fine. If you want to feel the joy, fine. It's all good, you know.
Right.
But denying the pain, suppressing the pain, pushing the pain away is what you're going to be shown more of that, as our friend Kat would always say. You're going to be
Right.
showing more. You're going to be shown more experiences that allow you to experience that until you can embrace that it's part of the human experience. But I don't have to carry it with me. I don't have to lug it from the past into the present. I can experience what is here now, and usually it's really good things. Like I said earlier.
And so one thing that sort of jumps out at me is everyone, every individual, if they allow it, I mean, has that capacity for the full spectrum of human experience. And some of it is basically forbidden and verboten. I mean, like, the Ten Commandments, for example. Those are like examples of like uh, you know, limits that have been imposed from outside.
Well, they're exactly, bro. It's chiseled in a stone in the past, bro. Like, I'm not saying we should go around murdering people. Don't get me wrong, but
No, but
let's acknowledge it for what it is, right? It's a story that is used to tell people what to do. And do I need that story in order to inherently know what is true?
exactly. And
I'm
so,
not going to
like,
murder
like
someone because I don't feel it's
I'm
true.
saying that bearing in mind that everybody has the potential to be a mass murderer. I mean, that's what it means to be human. Every individual has the potential to be mass murderer, but that doesn't mean that everybody is a mass murderer, and and therefore, everybody has to decide for themselves what their source of meaning and purpose is going to be. And, hopefully it won't be to be mass murder, but,
Well,
and
I mean, I think that's the point is when you acknowledge. So, my understanding of the nature of reality is there is an energy, a frequency that runs through everything we experience. We couldn't experience it if we weren't a match to it, and that energy is God, is the source of that energy, or some
which is
entity.
benevolent
Right.
and what
Well,
and what
well, he is a plague. We have this experience, this human experience, to have a human experience. A human experience is different from other experiences. When we leave this experience, we're going to have a different one, right? And so this experience is unique, and therefore its value is its uniqueness. And so this is the simulation. These are we see it's a consensus reality. We've agreed these are the parameters, but that agreement can change. It can evolve. It is evolving is the point, right? The
right,
agreement we made when we entered was maybe we're going to change all the agreements. And if that's the agreement we made when we came into this game, then the game is to change the agreements. That's the simulation. And so we're on level hard because we decided we wanted to play the game on hard or whatever, right?
right,
But we're here to do it, not to be afraid of it or to like fear the end of it or anything like that, right? There is something beyond this, and so we don't need to fear death. It is just it's it's as simple as shifting phases. But we also don't need to fear death because we we're here to experience. But and we experience all of it. And one of the things we get to experience is what it's like to live here without the fear of death. That's one of the cool experiences.
and that's AF.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
Zero AF.
I think that's a great place to end. I'm not even going to close with my second introductory poem. I think we'll just close with it's be yourself,
Well,
AF
it's
and
zero AF. It's time to we
zero AF.
clean slate. You throw away everything you think you know, and then build from there.
Okay, so Dale one. So now, in this new reality, we go Dale to Dale, not day to day, because day to day is one step in front of another, and one foot in front of another, and Dale to Dale is one step up after another. So basically, zero AF began on September 8th, 2025, because that's the day after the lunar eclipse when Dale was freed from the hospital of the moon after 50 years to be able to enter the world again.
Yeah. Welcome to zero AF.
Yep. Everybody enjoy it. Zero AF. And I read Brave New World if you get scared. if you're getting scared.
No, it's something to embrace. And
I
yeah, we
know.
can keep riffing on it, but I guess we can
Well,
save that for.
I just say that because people always used to say to me, I'm seeing a new deal, I'm getting scared.
No, yeah, yeah. Well, that's part of it. It is gonna feel a little scary. Like that's okay. I mean, it be a little scared sometimes.
Right.
It's called getting out of your comfort zone for a reason.
Let your faith guide you.
There you go. Little leap, as they say.
Okay, well, I think that's a great place to stop. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this. Live Love is still available. I still haven't figured out how to get it in front of you, but yeah, we'll figure out something. I'll put something in the notes. And Andrew, as ever, very stimulating, and I think we're really starting to plow new ground in the field of the kingdom of the realm.
That's that's the conspiracy.
You know. Okay, well, everybody have a great day.
Love you guys.